Buy Sri Lanka's best internet package for online learning and online working with many amazing offers. Call 1212 for more information. Sri Lanka Telecom.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, the beginning of a new era. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa swears in a brand new cabinet and state ministers, promising a new era of development. Internal competition. Easter PCUI told of obstructions to TID investigations into Zaharan Hashim from the Criminal Investigation Department. The plot thickens. Our People of Power Party nationalist fiasco deepens as Secretary General sticks to his guns. Too many cooks. UNP leadership battle intensifies as 3 more names enter the fray, bringing total to 7. All this and much more coming up on this Wednesday, the 12th of August 2020.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
Nava Sunlight Sakura. Then Dikukal Pavatina Sakura Mal Suandin.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A warm welcome, bringing you news from across Sri Lanka and around the world on AdaDerana 24/7. First at 9, I'm Indiva Yamuaptha. 25 new cabinet ministers and 39 state ministers were sworn in before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today at the historic King's Court of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy, promising a brand new beginning for a country just recovering from a series of setbacks. The post of Minister of Defence will now be held by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, while the Ministry of Finance, Buddha Shasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Urban Development and Housing comes under the purview of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Further, the portfolios seem to have been allocated on merit as promised by the President, with 4 first-time cabinet ministers sworn in today, while 16 parliamentarians who previously held ministerial portfolios did not secure a post in the present government. 23 chairpersons, meanwhile, for district coordinating committees were also appointed by the government from among the candidates.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa arrived at the King's Court of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy to preside over the swearing-in ceremony of the newly appointed cabinet of ministers and state ministers. The swearing-in ceremony commenced following a collective pledge made by all the cabinet ministers. Starting with the Ministry of Defence, the portfolio was taken charge of by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
අතිගරු ජනාධිපති ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමන් ආරක්ෂක අමාත්‍යවරයා ලෙස කටයුතු කරන බව.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa took oaths as the Minister of Finance, Urban Development and Housing, Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs. Nimal Siripala de Silva was sworn in as the Minister of Labour. The Ministry of Education came under the purview of Professor G.L. Pires as he took oaths before the President. Pavitra Vanyarachi received a familiar role as she took oaths as the country's Minister of Health once again. The Ministry of Foreign Relations was once again presented to Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, who took oaths before the President today. EPDP leader Douglas Devananda then took oaths as the new government's Minister of Fisheries. The Ministry of Transport fell under the purview of Gamini Lokuge. Meanwhile, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena was sworn in as the Cabinet Minister of Trade. C.B. Ratnayaka took his oaths as the Minister of Wildlife and Forest Conservation. The Ministry of Public Services, Provincial Council and Local Government came under the purview of Minister Janaka Bandarathennakone. Kehelia Rambukwella was sworn in as the Minister of Mass Media, a role he previously held. Former Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa was then sworn in as the country's new Minister of Irrigation. Dallas Alahapperuma then took oaths as the Minister of Power. The portfolio of highways came under the purview of Minister Johnston Fernando. Further, Vimal Veeravansa took oaths as the Minister of Industries. Mahinda Amaravira took his oaths as the new government's Minister of Environment. Former Minister of Wildlife S.M. Chandrasena today took oaths as the Minister of Land. Meanwhile, Mahinda Nandaluthgamage was sworn in as the Minister of Agriculture. The Ministry of Water Supply came under the purview of Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara. Udaya Gamman Pilla was sworn in as the new government's Minister of Energy. Dr. Ramesh Patirana then took oaths as the Minister of Plantations. Prasanna Ranatunga was sworn in as the Cabinet Minister of Tourism. Rohitha Abegunawardena received the portfolio of Ports and Shipping. Namal Rajapaksa was handed the ministerial portfolio of Youth Affairs and Sports as he took oaths as the Cabinet Minister for the first time. In a surprising move, the Ministry of Justice was handed over to President's Counsel Ali Sabri, for which he took oaths before the President today. Meanwhile, 39 state ministers also took oaths at the King's Court today. Accordingly, Cabinet Minister Chamal Rajapaksa also took oaths as the State Minister of Internal Security, Home Affairs and Disaster Management. Priyankara Jayaratne was then sworn in for the state ministerial portfolio of Foreign Employment, Promotions and Market Diversification. The state ministerial portfolio of solar, wind, grid power generation projects development was given to Dhuminda Disanayake. General Secretary of the SLFP Dayasiri Jayasekara took his oaths as the State Minister of Batik, Handloom Fabrics and Local Apparel Products. Lasantha Alagiyavanna was sworn in as the State Minister of Cooperative Services, Marketing Development and Consumer Protection. Sudarshini Fernando Pillai took oaths as the State Minister of Prisons, Reforms and Prisoner Rehabilitation. Development of Samurdhi, Home Economy, Microfinance, Self-Employment and Businesses and underutilized state resources came under the purview of State Minister Shehant Semasinghe. Vidura Vikramanayake took his oaths as the State Minister of National Heritage, Performing Arts and Rural Artist Promotion. Arundhika Fernando was sworn in as the State Minister of Coconut, Fishtail Palm, Palmyra and Rubber Product Promotion, as well as Allied Industrial Production and Export Diversification. Nimal Lanza took his oaths as the State Minister of Roads and Other Infrastructure Development. The portfolios of container warehouse facilities, container yards, port supply facilities and boats and shipping industry development came under the purview of State Minister Jayantha Samaravira. Roshan Ranasinghe was sworn in as the State Minister of Land Management Affairs, State Business Lands and Property Development. Sanat Nishanta took oaths as the State Minister of Rural and Regional Drinking Water Supply Project Development. Second-time parliamentarian Dr. Sarath Veerasekara took his oaths as the State Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Affairs. Anuradha Jayaratne was given the State Ministerial portfolio of Development of Rural Paddy Fields and Associated Tanks, Reservoirs and Irrigation. State Minister Piyal Nishanta was handed the responsibility of Women and Child Development, Preschool and Primary Education, School Infrastructure and School Services. Meanwhile, Kanaka Herath took oaths as the State Minister of Company Establishment Reforms, Tea Estate Crops, Tea Factory Modernization and Tea Export Diversification. Prasanna Ranavira was sworn in as the State Minister of Cane, Brass, Clay Products and Rural Industry Promotion. Former parliamentarian D.V. Chanaka took his oaths as the State Minister of Aviation Services and Development of Export Zones. Taraka Balasuriya was sworn in as the State Minister of Regional Cooperation before the President. The State Ministerial portfolio of Rural Home Construction and Building Materials Industry Promotion was handed to Indika Anuruddha. Senior Professor Mohan De Silva took his oaths as the State Minister for Regulation of Fertilizer Production and Supply, Use of Chemical Fertilizers and Pesticides. S.V. Alendran took oaths as the State Minister of Professional Development of Postal Services and Mass Media. Thenuka Vidana Gamage was sworn in as the State Minister of Rural and School Sports Infrastructure Promotion. Sisira Jayakuri was then sworn in as the State Minister for Promotion of Indigenous Medicine, Development of Rural Ayurvedic Hospitals and Community Health. Kanchana Vijay Sekara took his oaths as the State Minister of Ornamental Fish, Freshwater Fish and Shrimp Farming Development, Multi-Day Fishing and Fish Exports. Vimala Veera Disanayake was sworn in as the State Minister of Wildlife Conservation Protection Programs, including electric fence and ditch construction, as well as reforestation and wildlife resources development. The State Ministerial portfolio of Livestock and Farm Promotion as well as dairy and egg-related industries came under the purview of State Minister D.B. Herath. Shashindra Rajapaksa was given the state ministerial portfolio of paddy and cereals, organic food, vegetables, fruits, chilies, onions and potatoes, seed production and high-tech agriculture. First-time parliamentarian Dr. Nalaka Godeheva took his oaths as the State Minister of Urban Development, Coast Conservation, Waste Disposal and Public Sanitisation. The son of the late CWC leader Arumugan Thondaman, Jeevan Thondaman, was sworn in as the State Minister of Estate, Housing and Community Infrastructure Facilities. National List nominee Dr. Sita Arambepola took her oaths as the State Minister of Skills Development, Vocational Education, Research and Innovation. Meanwhile, Professor Channa Jayasumana was sworn in as the State Minister of Pharmaceutical Production, Supply and Regulation. Former Central Bank Governor and National List nominee Ajit Niwad Cabral took oaths as the State Minister of Finance and Capital Markets as well as Public Enterprise Reforms. Vijitha Berugoda was given the State Ministerial portfolio of Dhamma Schools, Bhikkhu Education, Pirivenas and Buddhist Universities. The state ministerial portfolios of development of sugarcane, maize, cashew, pepper, cinnamon, cloves, betel production and promotion of allied products and exports came under the purview of State Minister Janaka Wakkumbura. Dilum Amunugama was given the state ministerial position of vehicle regulation, bus transport services and carriages and automotive industries. Lohan Ratwata became the state minister for gems and jewellery. Development of common infrastructure facilities of settlements and canals in Mahavali zones was handed to State Minister Siripala Gamlat. It is noteworthy that 17 personalities who had not previously served as cabinet or state ministers have been appointed to the brand new cabinet today. Udega Manpila, the leader of the Pivithuru Helaurumeya, Rohitha Abegunawardena, a former state minister, and Namal Rajapaksa, who represented the parliament several times but did not hold a ministerial portfolio, were also appointed as cabinet ministers for the first time. President's Counsel Ali Sabri, who entered parliament for the first time via the national list of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, was also appointed as the cabinet minister of justice today. Also among the first-timers are S.V. Alendran, Tenuka Vidana Gamage, Sisira Jayakodi, Piyal Nishanta, Prasanna Ranavira, D.V. Chanaka, D.B. Herath, Shashindra Rajapaksa, Dr. Nalaka Godeheva, Jeevan Thondaman, Ajit Niwad Cabral and Dr. Sita Arambepola as well as Professor Channa Jayasumana. 16 parliamentarians who previously held cabinet and state ministerial portfolios did not receive any ministerial portfolios this time. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, former President Maithripala Sirisena, former Minister Susil Premajayanta, Ranjit Siambalapitiya, Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, Jayanta Herath, Chandima Veerakodi, Professor Tissa Vitarana, John Senaviratna, Mahinda Samarasinghe, Jagat Pushpakumara, Rohana Disanayaka and Sarathi Dushmanta, as well as Dilan Pereira, were not given any ministerial portfolios. S.B. Disanayaka, who was appointed as the chairperson of the Nurili District Coordinating Committee today, too did not receive any ministerial position. Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was also among the cadre that did not receive ministerial positions and was not present at the swearing-in ceremony held at the King's Court in Kandy today. Although Mahinda Yapa Abewardena was not handed with the responsibility of a ministerial portfolio, sources report that his name has been nominated for the position of Speaker. The posts of Speaker and Deputy Speaker of Parliament are still vacant and will be filled after the Parliament convenes on the 20th of August. After the swearing-in ceremony, the President, the Prime Minister and the new Cabinet paid homage to the sacred tooth relic and invoked blessings upon themselves. The brand new cabinet then posed for a group photo in front of the temple of the sacred tooth relic.
Leaders of the parties in alliance with the Samagi Jana Balawega have decided to make Sajith Premadasa the sole authority to make the final call on the 7 national list seats allocated to the alliance. According to Samagi Jana Balawega national organizer Tissa Thanayaka, the final decision regarding the national list nominees will be arrived at tomorrow.
A discussion was held at the party headquarters of the Samagi Jana Balawega this afternoon in order to decide on the 7 nationalist nominees for the 9th Parliament of the Socialist Democratic Republic of Sri Lanka. Elected SJB parliamentarians, leaders of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, the Tamil Progressive Alliance and the All Ceylon Makkal Congress attended the discussion. Meanwhile, the Jatika Jana Balawegaya has nominated Dr. Harini Amarasuriya as their nationalist entry to parliament. According to party leader Anurukumara Dissanayaka, the Election Commission has been informed of the decision reached by the Politburo of the JJB. Dr. Amarasuriya is a senior lecturer of the Department of Sociology of the Open University of Sri Lanka.
Now, the East PCOI was told of obstructions by the CID into Zaharan Hashim's investigations. Let's find out when we return after this break.
Enjoy a very smooth shave with the Bic Easy 2 razor. Bic Easy 2.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Easter Sunday attacks today heard the testimony of acting OIC of the Terrorist Investigation Department's Extremism and Fundamentalism Unit, who alleged that his team that interrogated Zaharan Hashim's mother-in-law and brother-in-law in 2018 were asked by the CID officials to vacate the premises to avoid obstructing the CID's own investigations.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Easter Sunday attacks heard evidence regarding allegations that officers of the Terrorist Investigation Department were obstructed by CID officers when they attempted to question members of Zaharan Hashim's wife's family. Testifying before the Commission, the acting OIC of the TID's Extremism and Fundamentalism Unit, Inspector Gayan Ratnayaka, stated that an open warrant was obtained from the Colombo Chief Magistrate on the 2nd of July 2018 for Zaharan's arrest. Further, based on a tip-off that Zaharan Hashim was hiding at the Naramal residence belonging to his wife, the witness along with the TID unit approached the house in question on 25 February 2019. The witness told the Commission that during a search of the house, neither Zaharan nor his spouse were found. However, the only occupants at the time were Zaharan's mother-in-law and his brother-in-law Mohammed Abdul Qadir Mohammed Ansar. The witness added that during questioning, Zaharan's mother-in-law had stated that she had last seen Zaharan at the house almost 2 years ago, while Mohammed Ansar revealed that Zaharan had last visited 1.5 months before. The Commission was then told that during the questioning of Ansar, the witness had received a phone call from a CID officer identified as Sub-Inspector Dias. SI Dias had then told the witness, "We are already in the midst of an operation to arrest Zaharan Hashim." He added that Ansar is one of our confidential informants. Ansar has arrived at the location to provide us with some crucial information. If you continue to remain at the location any longer, it will obstruct our investigations. Hence, kindly vacate the premises. The witness explained that after this exchange, he then withdrew his unit from the premises after receiving confirmation from its superiors, and added that if the unit were allowed to question Mohammed Ansar at the time, they would have been able to gather crucial information regarding Zaharan's whereabouts. The Commission was also told that the reason for the failure to arrest Zaharan Hashim during that period could be attributed to an unhealthy sense of competition between the various arms of the police and the lack of coordination as a result of this. In the meantime, former Minister Richard Batidin arrived once again at the Criminal Investigation Department headquarters at 9:30 am this morning to record further statements with regard to investigations into his links with the Easter attack conspirators. The recording of his statement went on till late into the afternoon.
Our People of Power Party General Secretary Venerable Vedinigama Vimalatissa Thera insists that he will take his place in Parliament until the tussle between Venerable Athureliya Ratana Thera and Venerable Galagodatte Nyanasara Thera is resolved. This new development further complicates the National List seat issue faced by the party, with the General Secretary still remaining in hiding due to the alleged threats to his life.
As the tussle over the official National List seat for the Our People of Power Party heats up, the party's General Secretary, Venerable Vedinigama Vimalatissa Thera, who is currently in hiding due to alleged threats to his life, aired his views over the phone today.
ඒ පත්කිරීම කරද්දී ඒක බාරගෙන මට ලිපියකුත් ඒ ලිපියේ අත්සන් කළා දුන්නා අපි ඒ දේව බාරගත්තයි කියලා. එතකොට මේ සියල්ලම නැතිවන මොහොතවල කරලා මේ මහරය තිස්සේ හදිස්සියට දෙන ලියවිල්ලක් බාරගෙන ඒ කටයුතු කිරීම සම්පූර්ණ මේ නීතියට පතහැව කරන කටයුතු තමයි හිතේ. මන්ත්‍රී ධූරේ මට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ලැබෙනවාමයි. මගේ අවසාන ඉලක්කය මන්ත්‍රී ධූරේ ලැබුණට පස්සේ මේ මන්ත්‍රී ධූරේ ආපහු මේ යෝජනාවේ තියෙන මේ රණ්ඩුව නවත්තලා ඒ යෝජනාවට බාර දෙන එක තමයි ඉලක්කය. ඒ රටාරම කණ්ඩායම ඥානකාරහරම කණ්ඩායම සභාපති කණ්ඩායම් එක දිගට මාව හොයනවා. හරි නායකයෙකුට මේක බාර දෙන්න තුරු මම මේක පසුරින් මම කොහොමද කියලා තියෙන්නේ මම ඇවිදින් බාර දෙන්න ලියවිල්ලක් හැර වෙන කිසිම ලියවිල්ලක් බාර ගන්න එපා කියලා. මගේ අසංකේත දෙනාවත් ඒක සමහරට මට මරණතරගෙන කරලා සම්බලහත්කාරයෙන් කරපුවා අසන්න පුළුවන් නිසා මට ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම ජීවිතාන්තර පොත් කිරීම මම හිතන්නේ බොහෝ අයට ගොඩක් හානි කරයි.
A meeting attended by the United National Party hierarchy concluded without a decision on who the new party leader will be. Meanwhile, UNP General Secretary Akhila Viraj Karyavasam announced 3 new nominees to the post, namely Navin Disanayaka, Ruwan Wijewardena and Palitha Rangebandara.
Former parliamentarians of the United National Party and leader Ranil Wickremesinghe met for a discussion at the Sirikota party headquarters yesterday, following the party's poor showing at the general elections earlier this month. At the meeting, UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that he will be stepping down from the party's top post. General Secretary Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, Deputy Leader Ravi Karunanayaka, Vajira Abeyvardena and Daya Gamage were announced as his possible replacement. At the meeting, Party General Secretary Akhila Viraj Karyavasam also announced that a final decision would be taken on the leadership issue today. Further, the party was informed that nationalist nominees would also be submitted to the UNP Working Committee for consideration. Accordingly, a discussion on the final leadership choice was held at outgoing leader Ranil Wickremesinghe's residence in Kolpiti this morning. However, no decision had been arrived at during the meeting, stated General Secretary Akhila Viraj Karyavasam. Karyavasam also revealed that 3 new nominees have been submitted for the leadership post, namely Navin Disanayaka, Ruwan Wijewardena and Palitha Rangebandara. He also added that the party hierarchy will come to a final decision on the issue next Friday. Meanwhile, media personnel attempted to speak to the former UNP MPs following the meeting.
No. මොන සම්බන්ධ? නායකත්වයේ සම්බන්ධයෙන්. නෑ මේකක් විතර කතා කරන්නේ. ඒතකොට සිරිකොතෙන් මගේ අරලයි මෙහෙ නායකතුමාලා විතර තිබ්බේ. අපි පක්ෂයේ මේ ඉදිරි සංවිධාන කටයුතු පිළිබඳව කතා කරේ. නායකත්වයට 4 දිනක යෝජනා වෙලා තිබ්බනේ. දැන් ඒ ගැන මොකද හිතන්නේ? ඒකෙදි අපිට වගින් කමිටියනේ කතා කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. දැන් කොට කවුද තෝරාපත් කරගත්තේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව යවන්න ඔබතුමාලා? නෑ. ඒ මොකුත් කතා කරන්නේ නෑද?
Stick to all safety protocols surrounding COVID-19 in order to prevent its spread in society, reminds a chief epidemiologist. We'll talk about that when we return after this break.
Ceylon Bank, the bank with a heart.
Police shot dead one of underworld figure LANKA'S main shooters, Asitha Hematilaka alias Solta, last night after he attempted to lob a hand grenade at police investigators during a search for a weapon cache in Malabe. Hematilaka was the main suspect in a string of assassinations in the past few years.
Officers of the Kirindivela police station arrested underworld figure Asitha Hematilaka alias Solta last Monday and handed him over to the Western Province North Crimes Division for further investigations. The police stated that the suspect had, during interrogations, attempted to mislead interrogators with revelations regarding a murder. During further interrogations, the suspect had also revealed the location of a stash of weapons belonging to Angoda Lokka, hidden near the bank of a stream located at Chandrika Kumaratunga Mawatha in Malabe. Following this revelation, a 6-member police team was deployed with Solta in tow to verify the information. Investigators were unable to locate the weapon stash at the time. However, the suspect had then requested permission to sit down at the location and then attempted to throw a grenade at police personnel. The police had opened fire at the suspect in self-defense. Following this, the severely injured suspect was then transported to hospital. However, he was pronounced dead on arrival. Later inspections of the area then uncovered 3 more hand grenades, several bullets and a locally manufactured firearm. Police sources revealed that Solta was the main suspect in the assassination of a beautician in Panipetia back in November 2017. Further, the suspect was also responsible for the murder of Poli Roshan when the victim was jogging along Chandrika Kumaratunga Mawatha in Malabe in 2018. Meanwhile, in a separate development, police arrested 7 suspects in the Ruwanvilla area in possession of 11.908 grams of heroin. In addition, Mount Lavinia police officers also arrested 3 suspects with 12 kilograms of tobacco-based intoxicant Mava, 50 grams of heroin and 2 grams of crystal methamphetamine in their possession. Elsewhere in Devala, a suspect was arrested with 25 kilograms of Kerala cannabis by the police special task force. In a separate development, another suspect was arrested when the police special task force raided a weapons factory in Walasmulla. A locally manufactured firearm and several cartridges were also recovered during the raid. Meanwhile, a constable attached to the Police Narcotics Bureau has been taken into custody in Mavanala by Bribery Commission officials while accepting a bribe of 10,000 rupees.
As public areas saw an increase in pedestrian traffic, Chief Epidemiologist Dr. Sudat Samaravira reiterated his calls for members of the public to strictly adhere to safety protocols to avoid any spread of COVID-19 in society. In the meantime, 16 more patients recovered in the past 24 hours.
COVID-19 recovery numbers were boosted today, with 16 more recoveries reported during the last cycle, bringing the latest count up to 2,638. This development puts the number of active cases in the country at 232. In the meantime, 9 new infections were confirmed yesterday, and 5 of them were foreign arrivals from the UAE. The other 4 infections included 3 arrivals from Indonesia and a single arrival from Saudi Arabia. In a separate development, 13 Sri Lankans from Qatar and 107 Sri Lankans from the UK arrived at the Bandaranaike International Airport during the early hours today. All the arrivals were subjected to PCR tests and were sent into mandatory quarantine.
මේ සතියේදී සමාජය විශාල වශයෙන් ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වයකට පත් වෙනවා අපි දකිනවා පාසල් පටන් ගත්තා මැතිවරණය අවසන් වුණා අලුතෙන් අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලයක් අද දියුකුම් දෙනවා ඒ සමගම රටේ ජනතාව සක්‍රිය වෙනවා වැඩි වැඩියෙන් සමාජය තුළට එනවා මේ තත්ත්වය තුළදී යම්කිසි විදියකින් අපි හඳුනනගත්තු COVID-19 රෝගියෙක් හෝ රෝගීන් පොකුරක් කොහේ හරි හිටිනවා නම් ඒන් රෝගය ව්‍යාප්ත වීමට තියෙන අවදානම අවම කිරීම සඳහා මීටර එක පරතරය තබා ගැනීම නිසි පරිදි මුඛාවරණයක් පැළඳීම නිතරම අතසබන් යොදා සේදීම වගේ සෞඛ්‍ය ආරක්ෂිත කටයුතු අපි දිගින් දිගටම කරන්න ඕන ඒක පාසල් ළමයාගේ සිට වැඩිහිටියා දක්වා සියලුම දෙනාගෙන් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන දෙයක්.
And Colombo stocks ended at their highest closing level in more than 5 months today, lifted by financial and industrial stocks. The benchmark SPI ended 0.47% higher, its highest closing since the 6th of March, while S&P SL20 gained 2.04%. The Sri Lankan rupee meanwhile closed firmer between 182 rupees and 90 cents to 183 rupees and 5 cents against the US dollar in the spot market, while the bond yields eased. That's all on First at Night tonight. Good night.